two guys that are absolute studs right now and just absolutely popped off there in week number 5. We have not seen the ceiling. That's what's crazy about Jamar Chase.
I think Justin Jefferson is going to be my wide receiver for rest of season.
Wow.
Look at the release.
There's your separation.
Great route.
Stutter and go. Gets by clean.
That is unbelievable.
Maybe the greatest catch I've ever seen.
Let's talk about Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson as well. Two guys that are absolute studs right now and just absolutely popped off there in week number 5. Jamar Chase in particular, he was a guy that I said you got to get in lineups, in DFS lineups. He was super affordable, $5,800 I think on DraftKings, and the guy just went absolute bonkers. No Jair Alexander for Green Bay, and it showed. 10 targets, 6 catches, 159 and a touchdown, and he looked absolutely unstoppable.
He is the player that I mentioned earlier that leads the NFL with 261 yards and 4 touchdowns on throws of 20-plus yards. And I mean, if you look back at his reception perception chart from college, which routes he was the best on, all of those vertical plays. And I mean, he's looked like a superstar. When we've seen guys, I'm thinking about like Chase Claypool last year or DK Metcalf his rookie year, these physical phenoms that it was just like their quarterbacks would fling that ball downfield and they would go get it. They'd make these monster plays and we'd get all gassed up about them. The thing about Jamar Chase is he's not like a physical phenom, from like a size speed standpoint.
No.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
well, speed wise,
obviously. Yeah. But from a size standpoint, he's not like,
right.
He was actually smaller, I think, than most people expected when he weighed in and worked out and everything like that. He's an incredible deep threat. Like, he knows how to get the late separation on routes like that. He knows how to win against press coverage. He faced more press coverage than any receiver in college football last year or in 2019 in the 2021 draft class among guys that were charted for reception perception. Over 40% of his routes were against press, which is extremely high for college. He's just good, man. He's just great. And I think he's a guy, when I'm looking at my rest of season rankings, I'm going to be really tempted to, like, he's right at 23, I think right now, if I remember correctly. I think he's going to rock it up into the top 15. Like, I don't know how you could bench him the rest of the way, because there was some discussion about and I know T Higgins has been hurt for part of this year, but like, is this more of a 1A, 1B situation? No, forget about it.
No.
Like, Chase is so much better. And this is no shot at T Higgins, who is a really good number 2 receiver. Their gamble was that Jamar Chase would be the missing piece to their offense. Obviously, it wasn't going to fix their offensive line, and old Joe Burrow's like going to the hospital for a throat contusion. So you can say what you want about, I mean, the whole thing there, but like,
right.
That he was going to do the one thing that was the biggest problem in this offense last year beyond the offensive line, which was the vertical passing game. Joe Burrow was the stone worst deep passer in 2020.
I know.
He's
crazy.
not off to being the stone worst here in 2021. I think it's all thanks to Jamar Chase.
I 100% agree. And we basically were extolling his virtues all off season. We were telling people not to worry about it. And he has been, he's been lights out since the word go. Coming into this week, he was a top 12 fantasy wide receiver. And I don't think he was top 25 in terms of like overall volume. When you combine targets and air yards, he wasn't that dude. Obviously, he was seeing a ton of air yards, but he wasn't seeing a ton of targets, averaging something like 6.5 targets a game coming into week number 5. This is what happens when he gets double-digit targets. When he gets 10 targets, he's going to explode downfield. And that's the upside with this guy. As good as he has been, Matt Harmon, we have not seen the ceiling. That's what's crazy about Jamar Chase.
I agree with you again on that for a couple of different reasons. Number one, the Bengals, in terms of rest of season strength of schedule, they rank 9th easiest in terms of pass defense efficiency of their opponents. So there's more juice down the way with this team. From a pass attempt ratio, rush to pass ratio, they have been much more run heavy than people have thought to start this year. They've been banking on the efficiency of their passing game, which has worked. That has worked so far. Joe Burrow's touchdown rate is really high, unsustainably high. And what Jamar Chase is doing as a deep threat is unsustainable as well. From a rate perspective, it's going to come down at some point. But there is more volume on the table for this team. And,
exactly.
You can argue that it's actually not. I don't have a ton of faith in the coaching staff. I'm still a little like Zach Taylor. You're like banking on a field goal to win you this game, man. When I mean, why are you doing that when we've seen the way like the field goal thing has been going so far? But
Right.
there's no doubt that what they're doing right now, at least in the early part of the season, about how run heavy they've been doing it to protect their quarterback. And like, I understand their logic there, but the longer that Burrow's out there, the more comfortable that he feels, which he might not even feel totally comfortable until like November, December. But the longer that goes on, the more comfortable they'll be putting the offense in his hand. And we know who his guy is, man. We know that Jamar Chase is already off to like a historic rookie season start, man. So, I mean, I don't know. The longer I talk about it, I'm like, man, maybe he's like a
top 12,
like top. I mean, could he get into tier 3? I mean, the tier 3 of receivers of like the Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Mike Evans tier, like Mike Williams, those guys.
Wait, why not? Why
not?
His role in this offense right now, where he is the just like lights out one, like there is no 1A, 1B split. No, he's the one.
No, he's the one.
Right?
He's the one. Yeah.
Given that profile, why is he not in that same tier as CeeDee Lamb, who, as we have highlighted before, as much you can love CeeDee Lamb as much as you want. His role in this offense right now is not that of a dominant, type alpha A receiver. It's just he is a really good player in a really good offense. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like, why can't he be in that tier?
Yeah, I mean, he's up there from a weighted opportunity perspective, which is target share combined with air yard share, and like he's right there with guys like Justin Jefferson. He's right there with guys like Keenan Allen. From an air yards and target perspective combined. The targets probably need to come up a little bit, but he's just getting started, right? Like
that's what I mean.
He's just getting started. So the more I think about it, like, yeah, I think he's right there with CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, like very similar, like
he's
proven
right
baller.
Hey, listen, we really appreciate you guys watching this video. We really do. But if I could, I just want to take a little bit of time to talk about our great sponsor, OddsJam.
OddsJam is the home of real-time sports odds, allowing you to shop and get the best possible odds.
Let's say you love the Packers money line. Well, FanDuel's got them at minus 650, whereas Bet Online and Ballybet has them at minus 550. It's the exact same bet, but significantly better odds at Ballybet and at Bet Online.
OddsJam also has a ton of betting tools like arbitrage, positive expected value bets. In other words, mathematically profitable wagers and a sharp betting community.
If you want to make money sports betting, this right here is the company for you.
They even have line discrepancies where you can make truly risk-free money using something called arbitrage in sports betting.
Learn about it. Live it. Love it. Check them out right now. Go to the website oddsjam.com. Hey, let's get back to Justin Jefferson, though.
Yes.
8 targets, 7 catches, 124, and I thought he looked fantastic.
Yeah, unbelievable. I want to talk about Justin Jefferson for 2 reasons. One, from a fantasy angle, we talked early in the show that DK is going to move down our rest of season rankings. Obviously, he's not going to stay at wide receiver 4 now that we're dealing with Geno Smith back there. He's not going to fall out of the picture, but he's definitely going to move down the rankings. Somebody's got to move up into this top 5, and I think it's going to be Justin Jefferson. I think Justin Jefferson is going to be my wide receiver 4 rest of season.
Wow.
I mean, you just look at, like, obviously the tier 1 remains the same. Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs. I know we'll talk Diggs and Tyreek Hill in a little bit. But listen, man, I mean, the volume is there for Justin Jefferson. Like he's the top receiver on the team. Thielen sort of dropped back a little bit, which is fine. Thielen's still totally fine in fantasy. No big deal there. He's still a tier 3 or 4 receiver in the rest of season ranks. But I mean, Justin Jefferson, I think, is showing. This is the second part of why I want to talk about it. Like, we need to kind of have a conversation about Justin Jefferson that, like, after this great rookie year, like this Jamar Chase-esque rookie year that he had last year, breaks all these records. His RP profile was unreal. He was one of the only receivers that was dominant in like every single category. 91st against press, 91st against man coverage, 96th against press coverage. Is Justin Jefferson just like one of the 5 best receivers in football? I kind of think he is at this point.
Yeah, I mean, like, let's think about the top 5. Like, you're going to have Devontae Adams in there. You're going to have Tyreek Hill in there. You're going to have Stephon Diggs in there. Okay, that's 3. And then after that, it gets pretty murky, right? Like, and why why can't Justin Jefferson actually be in that group too? Is the question that I would ask. Like, I would say Justin Jefferson and Stephon Diggs. Why can't Justin Jefferson be considered just as good as Diggs? Calvin Ridley's in the mix somewhere. I think DK is in the mix somewhere too. Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, I'm not missing anybody else. That's it.
Right. What I would posit to people out there is what is missing from his tool set. What tool is he missing from his toolbox that makes him not a top 5 receiver? Like,
great route runner, great hands, vertical threat, can play underneath. He could beat zone. He could beat man. You're right. There's no holes. There's no holes in his game.
One of the only receivers, and it was also top 10 against zone coverage, 96th percentile against press coverage as a rookie in reception perception. Like, that's elite stuff as a damn rookie receiver. And I think I had some structural questions about the Vikings offense, as we always do, because we know that Mike Zimmer wants to establish the hell out of that run. And like, we know that Kirk Cousins is kind of a streaky quarterback, but Kirk Cousins is playing a lot. He's playing a lot better this year, I think, than most were expecting. And the Vikings are throwing a little bit more because it's kind of, this, that, or the other in terms of their defense and game scripts and everything. But I'm very excited about Justin Jefferson. And I think from a dynasty perspective, you could make the argument that he is the wide receiver 1. Like, I think him and Chase they should probably both be in everybody's top 5.